One of the things I would encourage you to do, if you got a listing, we should promote the heck out of the listing through every channel, email, social, video, you name it. But the moment you sell that property, you need to circle prospect with a direct mail piece with a performance story, highlighting all of the things that you did to sell that property. Tell them the information that demonstrates you're great at your job. And so by using one of these performance stories, getting in front of the consumer, this is a great way for you to leverage that listing that you worked so hard to get and turn that into 2 or 3 more listing opportunities.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli. Today's interview is powerful. If you sell real estate in the Triangle area or anywhere in the United States for that matter, you want to get your notebook out and listen to Jimmy Mackin, who is our keynote speaker coming to the Triangle for the PropTech South Conference on September 21st. He's our keynote, and this guy knows more about how to go get more business in this market than almost anybody that you could listen to right now. So dig in, get your notebook, and listen to my conversation right now with Jimmy Mackin. Hey guys, welcome back to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli. And today I get to interview the Jimmy Mackin, who is going to be the keynote for our PropTech South Conference coming to the Triangle September 21st. And I'm super excited. Been following this guy. I've known this guy for a long time, but following his career. And
yes, we have.
Been a long time. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. Good to see you. Excited about the event coming up. You know, this event that we have coming up this fall is the timing couldn't be more perfect. You know, this market right now is a tough market. A lot of agents out there are looking for new ideas, new strategies, new tactics to help grow their business. And I'm excited to be a part of it and help the community focus on making the most of Q4.
Well, when we were looking around trying to think about who should be the keynote for this event, you were the obvious choice because you have such deep understanding on the tech side, but yet you spend every day trying to help agents and teams and brokers convert more business in the real world. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what this is about. PropTech South is bridging that gap because, you know, everybody on the agent and broker side, which I lived on for 20 years, you know, we're all like, what do these MLS people do anyway? Right? Like we're out trying to sell a house, you know, and so this event is kind of trying to bring all that conversation together and go like, look, the tech has been moving for a long time, but we're at a place now where the tech has kind of taken this leap forward to where the people who are really, really going to be successful going forward as agents and brokers are the ones who are going to have deep understanding of the tech. And so you bridge that gap better than anybody.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And you're spot on, which is, you know, I think there is 2 camps of people in our industry right now because we're sort of seeing this big divide. There's the camp where people are the Luddites, the people that don't want to change. They want to kind of hang on to the past. They want to kind of keep running the same playbook they ran last year, the year before that. They're not new to adopt technology. They resist any change. And those individuals, unfortunately, are in a position now where it's going to be very tough for them because this market is going to be unforgiving to people who are not willing to adapt. This market is not going to be forgiving to people who are unwilling to sort of accept change and try to take advantage of it. And listen, change is hard. I have a lot of empathy for agents because, you know, every single day there's some new technology coming out. There's some new change happening. There's some new social media site. There's some new AI tool. Like I get it, right? It can be overwhelming. But if you can anchor this idea with a simple question, which is how does this thing that's changing, how can it help me be more efficient? How can it help me connect with more customers? How can it help me get more business? And how can it help me serve the people that I'm helping in a better way? It allows you to have a filter or a lens, Matt, that you can look at change through in, I think, a more positive and constructive way. And I think agents right now who have that mentality are going to be ones who are going to take leaps and bounds over their competition. And I know this group, if you're showing up at a conference like this, I know that's your mindset, and I'm excited to share ideas along the way.
Yeah, cool. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the market, and you kind of alluded to it. We've been through a heck of a, it was like power season, 2021, and then, not so much here lately. Talk about you've got a very 30,000 foot view of the market from all the agents and brokers and teams that you talk to. What are you seeing?
Yeah. I can describe this market in one word, which is this market is conflicted. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I mean, is it a seller's market? Well, yeah, maybe home values are going up a little bit, and you put your house in the market, you're going to get some offers, but there's a lot of hesitancy because people have interest rates that are locked in at historical lows. So, can you really call it a seller's market if those sellers are also buyers? And of course, buyers are dealing with affordability issues, they're dealing with rising price issues, they're dealing with all the pain that a seller who is going to buy is also going to experience. This market doesn't really know what it wants to be. And so we're seeing that. We're seeing kind of it kind of hum along where we get some momentum and then it just stops. And then we see some good news happens and it picks back up. And then we see some bad news happen and it drops back down. And so this is unlike any other market that we've seen in the real estate industry for as long as I've been in it, and certainly as long as I've been studying this market, there hasn't been anything else like it. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. And for those of the people who are going to listen to this podcast or the replay that have lived through the global financial crisis, you've probably been fielding questions, I'm sure, like, oh, this market's just like 2007, 2008. People are, I'm sure you got a lot of people in your pipeline who are like, I'm going to wait until prices drop before I decide to buy. And obviously we've seen how that's played out. What's interesting to me, Matt, is there is one thing that the 2023 market has in common with the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008. And that is, in the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008, we saw a 37% decline in the number of existing home sales. Meanwhile, at the exact same time, we saw a 12% decline in the number of people who sell real estate. So 37% decline in the number of home sales, 12% decline in the number of people who sell real estate. It was an era of hyper competition. When you look at the market today, we went through this period where the market was growing, existing home sales and new construction was growing, everything was moving along just fine, and then we hit a wall. And that wall is, you can go back to probably Q2 2022, Q3 of 2022, start to sort of like labor and breath, right? And then all of a sudden, we started seeing the numbers begin to drop. And we went from over 6 million existing home sales to now we'll probably end up with 4.1, 4.2 million home sales. Meanwhile, the number of people who have the real estate license has stayed pretty consistent. So the only thing that this market has in common with the global financial crisis is the fact that we are entering into yet another example of a hyper competitive market, which is why I call it the real estate Hunger Games. And so I think this is going to be where us as a community and as an industry need to kind of come together and think about how can our strategy evolve in the face of this hyper competition that many agents are facing today.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's right on. I mean, I was an agent through the 7 and 8 and all that, and so certainly experienced that. And the dynamics of the radical drop in pricing. And the madness of what it looked like to go through the mortgage process after that debacle, doesn't compare at all to the strength of the market and the equity in the market today. But I actually didn't understand that the number of agents had not dropped in this recent season. So thanks for sharing that. And I think that really punctuates what you're saying. Like, man, you better know what you're doing, how to go get a listing if you want to compete.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a great point about equity. There are, from a consumer's perspective, there is no subprime crisis looming. Unemployment is at historic lows. The average consumer right now in the U.S. has $274,000 of equity in their property. 99% of consumers have an interest rate lower than the current market rate today. So this is when I say the market is conflicted. What I mean by that is the market actually, for some respects, is very healthy. There is the foreclosures are not on the rise. It's been very modest increases in foreclosures. So it is this. It's not like it's sharing the characteristics of a great market and a terrible market all in the same time, if that makes sense. And that's why so many people. Rich Barton from Zillow had this great line. He calls his market is frustratingly foggy. I think it perfectly encapsulates it, right? It's frustratingly foggy. And that's why a lot of us out there just got to focus on what's in front of you, the here and now.
Mm. Yeah, the best listing agents that I know are just, doing the work every day, like get up, get another listing. One of my buddies that I helped get in the business came from the car business, and dude just gets up and knocks on another door, and bam, there's another deal. And it's like, who cares about what everybody else is doing? Like, I'm just going to go get another deal. So
yeah, it's what you just described. So kudos to your buddy, man. Like, I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice, Matt, that you just gave, is putting your blinders on, because you're going to be in your office and you're going to be around people. You're going to be reading headlines. You're going to be talking to colleagues in Facebook mastermind groups who are all going to be saying the sky is falling. They're all going to say, hey, my inventory's way down. I haven't closed that many deals this year. I'm really struggling. And then you got these other folks like Matt's friend who aren't logging into these groups, who aren't reading the headlines, who are just going there and doing the work. And it's funny how that plays out. And what I find to be most interesting about all of this is that when I think about what it really takes to be a successful real estate agent and how much potential there is, because there is a positive message here. Matt, I bet if you and I were to interview and survey agents back in 2019, and we were to say, hey, at the end of 2019, was this a good year or a bad year, right? If we were to ask them at the end of 2019, did you have a good year or a bad year? I think the vast majority of people, Matt, would tell us, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good year, right? Market was pretty healthy, rates were low, all that. Well, in 2019, consumers paid approximately $76 billion in commission to real estate agents. That was 2019. So that was a year when we all thought, hey, that's probably a pretty good year in 2019. Now in 2023, Matt, if you and I were to survey a group of 100 random agents, I guarantee you, if we ask them, hey, how do you feel about the market? I guarantee you that 80% of them would say, oh, it's awful, worst of my entire career. Here's the irony. In 2023, with even 4.1 million houses being sold this year, at the median sale price of $416,000, there was actually $86 billion in commission to be had. So we actually have more commission due to the fact that home prices have increased in 2023 than we did in 2019. And I think that mental challenge we have, Mike Del Prete, who's a blue flame thinker in this space, he goes, 2021 was not the benchmark, it was an outlier. We've all kind of fallen into the trap of benchmarking the unicorn years, as my friend Steve Harney would say. But if you compare 2019 to 2023, you realize, well, it's actually technically, and the narrative doesn't match us, but technically it's better. I mean, there's more money to be made in this market. And that's one of those inconvenient truths, Matt, that you don't want to believe when you hear someone like me say it. But when you do the math and you actually add it up, you're like, oh, it's actually right. And I think that is part of this mental game that agents have got to play in this market, my friend.
I love that. And I mean, I love your data-driven approach. And that's another stat that I just didn't know. So thank you for that. And, I guess it's indicative of the fact that, it's about the experience that we have as agents, like how hard each transaction is, how many hours it takes, how much of a roller coaster ride it is. And like, that's what we're really saying, is that the transactions suck. It's not that the paycheck necessarily sucks. That is such an important point. I don't sell real estate. I work with real estate agents, real estate teams, real estate brokers, and we work with a whole bunch of them that do amazing work. And you're right. I think that's probably the big thing no one's talking about. It isn't just the number of transactions that hurts, but it's the pain involved in each transaction. Like I got bad news for you. I got no stats to help you feel better about that. That's probably not going to change, I think, is the reality. Just yoga and massage and that's
it. I got my Mala beats here. Just got to keep deep breaths. That's it. I'm telling you, folks. That's all it is.
Well, so what? Okay, so let's talk about listing sources. I mean, we haven't got too deep in the bio, but you're CEO of one of the biggest software companies in real estate that helps agents get more business. You know as much or more about sources of listings than anybody. Where should we go looking for our listings right now? How do we get more?
Well, I'll give everyone just, I think, the first and most obvious answer, but I'll give you a little bit of a twist on it. I had the opportunity to tour the country this year. I've been to probably 15 cities across America, and I've gotten belly to belly with a whole bunch of agents who sell a lot of real estate. And if you were to ask those agents, where does your business come from? And inevitably, 9.9 out of 10 times, they say my SOI, right? And if you were to ask those same agents, how much time, energy, and effort do you focus on your SOI? The answer is very little. And most of them, once you hit a certain level of success, start chasing internet leads. And listen, as a guy who sells internet leads and helps customers generate a lot of revenue through that, like, I get it. It's more of the now business. And so if you looking for business now, buying leads makes a lot of sense. But your SOI is a gold mine. And if you do some basic math on this, if you have 1,000 people in your database and there's a 3% turnover of the people in your database right now, and let's say you average the median sales price at $416,000, there's about $312,000 of revenue that exists with that 1,000 person database. And so I think part of what really smart agents are doing to get listings right now, Matt, is they're trying to fix the leaky bucket that is their CRM. They're looking for creative ways to say, what can I do to stay in touch with my database? And let me give you a very tactical example of this. So one idea that we love to share is the one-to-one market update. When it comes to marketing, one of the things that you have to think very deeply about is personalization. The more generic, the more relevant. The more personalized, the more impactful. And so one thing that agents can do, smart agents are logging into the MLS every day and they're studying the market, what's going under contract, what's selling today. And so one thing that I would be doing is got to go 1 degree further. And I would actually take a list of all my clients that I have in my database that I've sold a house to. I would upload them to Google Maps so I can basically visually see where all the properties I've sold a home to are. And then as I'm in the MLS, I'm simply looking anytime a home sells near one of my neighbors, one of my clients' houses, I'm then texting that client. And I would say something very simple like this. Hey, Matt, I was in the MLS earlier today. I saw that 123 Main Street sold in your neighborhood. Did you happen to see the final sales price? And all I'm looking to do there, Matt, is I'm looking to have more conversations, because conversations equals appointments, appointments equal contracts, contracts equal closings. And so this idea of, yeah, the CMAs are great. Yeah, the monthly market reports are great, but we are built in a lightweight communication world today, where it's texting and DMing and commenting. We have to kind of adapt that to our prospecting strategy. And so one of the things I would say is, if you start thinking about doing 3 to 5 of these little mini market updates, these one-to-one market updates, you're going to dramatically increase the number of conversations you're having with the people in your SOI. Now, Matt, give you some perspectives. A new listing sells quickly. That's a one-to-one market update. Massive price reduction. That's a one-to-one market update. A hot home that you know is going to get a ton of offers because it's priced right in a good area. That's a market update. Notable sales. First time it's ever been listed. Sold way above the ask price, right? Multiple offers on it. That's a home that didn't sell, a home that expired. A guy in my neighborhood tried to list his house for $1.3 million, way overpriced it, and the home expired. That information isn't really readily available, but we, having access to the MLS, can see that information. These are all events that you can use. These are sort of triggers that you can use to send a one-to-one market update. Now, let me put a finer point on this, because if you're having more conversations with your clients, you might be saying, as you're listening to me here, listening to me break this down, you might be saying to yourself, well, that's great, Jimmy, but they've got a 3% interest rate. They're not selling their house. Sure. But what if we were to use those conversations to maybe get a referral? And so one thing that I would do is, every time I end a conversation about real estate with someone in my SOI, someone in my database, I'm going to use one simple line. I'd say, hey, Matt, one more thing. I'm asking all of my clients this. This is a really tough market out there. Who do you know who's currently looking to make a move that's struggling that you think we can help? That's it. It's a much softer, more empathetic, coming from a place of value approach to them saying, Matt going, yeah, I got a buddy actually who's looking to make a move and, put a couple hours in, got demoralized, been sitting on the sidelines for a while. Like, that's what you can do when you've earned the right to ask for a referral. And the way you earn the right to ask for a referral is you stay in contact with local, timely, and relevant information. And Matt, I can't think of this is why your MLS is a super tool for you, because the way you can slice and dice the data, the way that you can analyze what's happening in the market. I mean, this is a tool that consumers don't have access to, and you're a pro. You're in it every day. So if we can make that leap, that's a way we can get more listings. That's a way we can get more buyers. That's a way we can keep growing our business, my friend.
Man, Jimmy, these are great ideas. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and some of the stuff that you just pointed out, I hadn't really thought about the fact that every single event in the life of somebody else's listing is a trigger for me to communicate. The one you skipped over that I was thinking about though was just it went under contract. Everybody wants to know, like the house down the street. Oh, it went under contract. Okay, cool. Like, well, I don't know. I can't tell you, I don't know what the price is yet, but but it went under contract. It was only 6 days or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's the thought process, Matt. That is like, what's the information that they can't find online that I could dig up as a real estate agent and I can share that with them. It's like it's a wow moment. And this is, and we know, if you're listening right now, is real estate national or is it local? Right? Is it national? Of course, it's local. Real estate is local. It is local. So the more that you can be communicating to the consumer with information that is localized, not just to their area, their zip code or their neighborhood, but to their street or their immediate proximity, like that is magic there when you get that part right. So I love the idea, Matt. Just to give the rundown again, new listings coming soon, massive price reductions, hot homes, under contract. Shout out to Matt on that one. Notable sales and expired listings. These are all events that you can use to be in regular communication. And Matt, this should be easy. 3 to 5 of these a day. Do that for 30 days and just watch the magic happen, my friend.
So what about, let's go back to database. And I'm glad you talked about sphere of influence. I like to take that a step further. And I'm always talking about top 100. And I'm like, look, if you looked at whatever your average sales price is, 400,000. So, commission on that's 12 grand, whatever, you do that math, like all the money you ever needed is in 100 people. And I'm like, what if you spent ridiculous time and money and effort on 100 people? And then I do this, like I run my life this way. Like there's a list and you're on it, Jimmy, by the way. You might get bumped if you don't, but that's the point. That's the point I wanted to make, is you just keep leveling up the list. And it's not that you're like pushing people away or whatever, but you're like, hey, for me, the way I'm running my business, like these 100 people are the people that I need to focus my attention on. And what can I do to do something for that person? So that, whenever that's going to reciprocate. But, if you just got up every day and you're like, how do I serve these 100? And so, I want to know what you think about when I say that. And if I was a curator client, like what would you tell me to do with the platform and with your tools?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is that it is our job to educate the consumer about what's happening. And this is one of the great sins of our industry, is that we work so hard to acquire a customer. We do an amazing job serving them in a really important point. But once that deal closes, we move on. And I've said this for a long time, Matt. I think if you're expecting consumers to be loyal, you shouldn't hold your breath. And if you're expecting consumers to be loyal because, quote, you did a great job the first time, you're setting yourself up for a lot of pain. And so I think for me, one of the things that we coach our clients on, and our clients use our email marketing platform. We do a lot of email marketing. In fact, I just looking at the data the other day, our clients have sent 164,000 emails through our platform to nearly 250 million people. And so email marketing is one of the best and most underrated tools that professionals use to stay in touch with their SOI, their top 100, whatever you want to call it. And so there's a particular formula that I follow when it comes to email marketing that makes it easy, that makes it simple, but also makes it really important and valuable to the consumer. And I'll give you that formula. The first thing is that you got to get your inputs right. So one of the things that we do is Matt talks about top 100. I follow people like Lance Lambert on Twitter. I follow people like Steve Harney and Mike Simonson. I follow all of the people in and around real estate, people in new construction, people in finance, people in mortgage, people in asset classes, different asset classes, just so I can really understand what's happening in the world of real estate. And the beauty of this is these folks are prolific content creators. And as a result of that, they can feed in ideas that you then can translate and say, well, that would be interesting for my audience. Let me give you an example of this. This morning I woke up and my buddy Byron Lazine shared an article. I can't even remember if it was a reel or an article on his site on BAM, where it was about 1 in 4 Americans are planning on selling their home in the next 3 years. Now, this is actually a survey conducted by Zillow Group to identify the people who are either going to list their property or sell their hot property within the next 36 months. Now, the first question is that more or less than the historical average? And the short answer is it's significantly more. So there is in some way a little bit of a glimmer of hope that this inventory crisis is going to begin to sort of thaw out right now. And so I saw this article written by Zillow, and then I looked at, okay, what other complementary articles exist around this? And Redfin would just put out a study that reported that only 1% of all the households in America turned over this past year, which is a historical low. And so what this leads you to believe is that we have finally hit the bottom of this inventory crisis, because now consumer sentiment is trending towards, I want to sell my house. And we've reached a point where we've never reached before in terms of the lack of turnover across the United States. Now, could it get worse? Of course, but the consumer sentiment tends to lead the inventory, meaning like the old great PT Barnum crowd. Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. When everyone was buying a house, then everyone started buying a house. But when no one was selling a house, then no one was selling a house. Now that consumer sentiment is sort of swinging in that other direction, now we are saying, okay, well, this is information that my database should know. So to take it down to the very practical, I saw the video from Byron. I found the Zillow group article. I backstopped it with some information from Redfin. And now I wrote an email that all of our clients are sending today about 1 in 4 Americans are thinking about selling their house in the next 3 years. And I explained, here's why, because they're looking to basically capitalize on the equity they gained. Matt and I were just talking about this, $274,000 in equity. And number 2, they want a better house, they got a 3-1 and they got 2 kids and they're tired of sharing a bathroom with them and they want to move up. Right. And so like, that's going to happen. And so in that email, I'm saying, if you're one of the 25% of people who are thinking about making the move in the next 3 years, the first step is to reach out for a professional home value report so you know how much your home is worth in today's market. And so the formula, if you're picking up on the formula, ingest interesting real estate content from the best and brightest in the industry. Be the translator. Figure out how that's relevant for your audience. And then write an email that you can send once a month, once a quarter, that provides value to the people that are part of your top 100. And thankfully, Matt, we live in a world, if you're listening right now and saying, Jimmy, I can't write anything. We live in a world where AI can help with that, right? It's if you give them enough inputs, give them a little bit of guidance, they can do the heavy lifting. So Matt, that to me is for one of the like really practical tip is just get good at email marketing. Man, it is the opportunity hiding in plain sight.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like we've been talking about email for 30 years. I think I got my first email address 30 years ago, and everybody keeps saying, "Oh, it's dead," whatever. Like it's still literally by far and away, the number one. And I love the way you guys are doing it because you're, creating all those content opportunities so that all of us real estate professionals can go out and sell a house, and we've got that stuff figured out for us. So a couple more things I want to ask you about. Well, we've kind of been dancing around lead generation the whole time, but what are the strategies that are working right now to go out and proactively look for business outside of what we've talked about so far?
Yeah. So the other area this is going to break. I'm going to break this down. I got a whole bunch of ideas I'm going to be sharing with you when we're all in person together. So if you're liking what you're listening to right now, you've got to come to the event. Matt and the whole team are putting together an amazing event, right? So if you're liking some of these ideas, I've got like 25 of them. So trust me, I'm going to make it worth the price of admission when you show up to this thing. I'm going to give a strategy that people are going to groan when they hear, because they don't want to do it. But I want to recognize that I want you to keep your expenses low. So yeah, if you're scaling your business right now, spending money in advertising makes a ton of sense. But one of the things that our clients are doing right now is they're getting back to basics. And what they're doing is they're circle prospecting around recent sales to reach out to consumers and say, hey, are you thinking about making a move? And I'll give the script here in a second, but this goes back to Matt's earlier point around lead generation. If you don't have a big SOI, you don't got your top 100 dialed in, you got to go out there and hunt. I mean, there are no other options for you. And so what I would be encouraging everyone who's tuning in right now to do is that anytime, again, if you're in the MLS every day and you're studying the market, what's hitting the market, what's going under contract, and you identify like what your farm is, and you know that farm better than anybody else in your MLS, then you can pick up the phone anytime a home hits the market, and I mean hits the market, or a home that is. I'll give you a pro tip here, Matt. A home hits the market, even if it's not your listing, or home goes under contract or sells. I'll give you a script that you can use. So the first one is, if a home hits the market and you're a buyer's agent, okay, it's not your listing, so you can't represent yourself owning their listing. What you can say is, hey Matt, this is Jimmy calling with ABC Realty. I know you weren't expecting this call. I'm not sure if you know this, but 123 Main Street down the road just listed. I'm going to be in the area showing some of my buyers this home, and I thought I'd reach out to you and say, if you're interested in getting an update on the value of your property, because it's probably going to change when this home sells, I can prepare one of those reports for you. I'm going to be in the area anyways. And so as a buyer's agent, you can effectively start prospecting for listings on the back of showing your buyers the homes that you want to show them. I mean, like, for the buyer's agents out there right now, if you're not doing this, I am telling you, this is an opportunity that will absolutely help you get more listings. And you know where I got this idea from, Matt? I got this idea from a company in my area called Mosquito Joe. So I used to live in the city for 10 years, and my wife and my kids forced me to move to the suburbs. When you move to the suburbs for the first time, you got to start buying a bunch of things: landscaping, trash collection, all these things. So I got a knock on the door one day, and it's a guy with a clipboard. I thought it was a political campaign, but no, it wasn't. It was a company by the name named Mosquito Joe. And he goes, hey, are you the homeowner? I said, yes. He goes, I was actually in the area spraying your neighbor's house for mosquitoes. And, he pauses. He goes, the mosquitoes are going to have to go somewhere. And so
what a great script.
Implying, I said, well, first off, I was like, damn, that is one heck of a script. Now, my wife already had a mosquito person, but I was
is
like,
that a thing where you live? Like,
on.
I don't even know. That's a problem I don't even know I have. Is that something that's real bad?
We got 4 seasons here, brother. We got mosquitoes. We got bugs. But yes, it was just really, it was a great, so I like the idea. And what I took away from that is, hey, Matt, you're not, by the way, pick up on the little nuances here. Hey, it's Jimmy calling with ABC Realty. I know that you're not expecting this call. The reason I'm reaching out is because I'm actually going to be in your area showing one of my buyers your neighbor's house. And I was just out of curiosity, where you want to get more information about the value of your home, I can put together a professional home value report for you. I'm gonna be in the area anyways. Like, that is the Mosquito Joe technique. So talk about lead generation. Yeah. I'll teach you how to buy ads on Facebook, how to buy ads on Google. I'll teach you all the different circle prospecting scripts. I'll teach you all those things that you can do to get inbound leads. But if I'm a real estate agent right now going into this kind of quarter, next Q4, like, I am doing that. I am doing that grind and work, my friend. And again, if you're in the MLS every day, like we're talking about right now, this should become a natural. You should know that farm better than any other agent in the market.
Man, that's so good. And it fits into kind of a bigger category that, I always think in terms of sort of, I'm doing the work anyway. So, I did all the comps. We were having an open house down the street. I can't stand 123 Main. It's like, it's 678 XYZ, whatever the name of this, but we're doing an open house. I already did all of the comps. I've got all the data. Would you like to have this data? I'd be happy to email it over to you, but it's that, I'm out here doing the work. I've already got it, so anyway, that's gold, Jimmy. What about, okay, the last question here I've got for you is, I've already got a listing. Maybe it's my first listing. Maybe it's my 150 millionth listing. I don't know. But let's say it's my first listing ever, and I got this listing and I want to just like squeeze everything out of this listing. I want to get 3 more listings from this listing. Like, what's my playbook? What's my playbook for that?
So I've got a 7-step process for this, and I'm gonna unveil all 7 steps live at the conference. But I'm gonna give you a teaser right now, which is the one campaign that our clients are using to turn every listing into more listings, which is they are essentially at the end of when they sell the property. We're all familiar with a success story. right? Which is, hey, here is this happy customer that we sold the house, and this is what their background was, and they love us so much, and here's this testimonial. That works, by the way. Great strategy. The strategy that actually is even more effective in our experience is the performance story. And what the performance story is when you give the consumer all the details on how you help that person sell their home for the outcome they were looking to achieve. How did you market the property? How did you run ads for it? What emails did you send to promote it? How many people came to the open house? How many offers did you get? And this is where you're providing them with evidence. And if that evidence tells a story that you're really good and competent, and you are someone that if they hire, they're going to get more money for the property than if they hire an average agent, it creates this excitement around picking up the phone and making a phone call to you. Now, the most important thing with any type of direct response advertising is to have a clear offer. So one of the things I would encourage you to do, if you got a listing, we should promote the heck out of the listing through every channel, email, social, video, you name it. But the moment you sell that property, you need to circle prospect with a direct mail piece, with a performance story, highlighting all of the things that you did to sell that property, all the results that you get. Give them the stats, give them the data. Yeah, you want to pull on the emotional heartstrings, but tell them the information that demonstrates you're great at your job. And then you want to pick up the phone and call every single person you send a direct mail piece to. Say, hey, did you get my letter? What questions did you have for me? And this is an opportunity for you to not wait for just the inbound stuff, Matt, which I think all of us were doing in 2020, 2021, kind of waiting for the inbound stuff. In this market, you have got to go out and hunt. And so by using one of these performance stories, getting in front of the consumer, this is a great way for you to leverage that listing that you worked so hard to get and turn that into 2 or 3 more listing opportunities. And the agents that understand that a listing is an asset, and if they invest in that listing, it will compound, those agents are going to absolutely dominate in this new market.
You know, that's a classic story that just keeps getting lost and lost and lost. But, you know, you and I have seen this a million times. An agent gets in the market and they hustle. They get 12 listings the first year. They get 25 the second year. Then they get 50, and then they get 200. And it's that work, right? That is that person. So if you're listening to this and you're first year or second year in real estate and you're like, how do I ever get to 200? That's how you do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And by the way, like I said, I'll be unveiling the entire blueprint at the event coming up. And again, me and Matt only had limited time today, so I wanted to share just a couple highlights. But we got a lot more ideas, a lot more strategies for everyone who's going to be attending live, and I'm just incredibly excited and honored to be a part of the event, my friend.
Thanks, man. Well, Jimmy, super awesome. Thanks for not only were those teasers, but I mean, there's enough meat in this podcast for everybody that listens to this. Go do work for a month until September 21st in the Triangle, PropTechSouth.com. Get your pass right now. It's only $25, and it's a charitable contribution, the $25. Jimmy's going to be there, and a whole bunch of nationally known rock star people are coming to share with us. Not only about what's happening all around the real estate industry nationally, but you're going to hear a ton about the incredible changes and advances that are happening within Triangle MLS, the technology that you're going to be able to bring to bear, technology that's going to allow you to work with platforms like Jimmy's, a curator, and a million other tech tools that are going to be activated and easily accessible through the new Triangle MLS platforms. And you're going to hear about all of that at PropTech South. So we'll see you guys September 21. Thanks for listening to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. And thanks, Jimmy, for being here.
Thank you very much.